You want to think of what is the most important thing. As I always say to my daughter, what's the most important thing? Because she always tends to want to play first before getting ready. So it's like, you can do both, but make sure you know what the important thing is.
Welcome back, everyone. We are looking back at this past week's Sunday readings and looking ahead to next Sunday's readings. We know that most people attending Mass don't look ahead to the readings they'll be hearing. So I hope you'll find our little show fun and useful, especially if you're looking to connect more to the Bible readings during Mass. My name is Vincent and my buddy's name is Roy. We've been friends since childhood and we both volunteer at different churches as lectors, or the guys who read at Mass. We'll offer our thoughts on the readings as well as share some fun stories about volunteering at church and everyday life. Okay, let's get started.
Besides your new setup here, what's up with you this week?
Well, I guess it's truly looking like this is a jubilee year for me. It's a couple weeks ago that it was my 15th wedding anniversary. Just last weekend, it was my 30th high school reunion. It was pretty cool to see people who I all the way went back to elementary school with. It was a pretty good turnout. I didn't even feel like I had enough time to talk to everybody.
I saw a picture from one of your friends, and I saw a wide shot of everyone like at the bar or restaurant, wherever you guys at, and I saw you in the middle, like, oh, and I was thinking to myself, like, oh, there's the guy who's most likely to have a podcast. Back when podcasts didn't exist.
It's funny because I didn't even see that picture yet.
Oh yeah, because you're never on social. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not on social.
For me, Amazon had Prime Week deals last week. And I am not endorsing Amazon in any way, but I got a little ambitious and I bought like 4 novels to read. Last calendar year, 2024, I made a New Year's resolution to myself that I would read at least 20 minutes every night or every day from like a book, like a novel or a biography. Nothing educational or self-help. I want like stories, because I waste so much ungodly time on my phone that I needed to unwaste that time, kind of a brain cleanse. Here I kind of fell off the wagon, so I'd like to get back on. We'll see how that goes for the rest of the year.
Good for you. I was a total consumer and I totally bought just a bunch of, well, I take that back. I think we're pretty mindful of what we bought this year, but yeah. I think this was the most we bought. You may or may not want to put this on the but I could show you the mound of boxes, and I've just gave Amazon a whole bunch of my money. That's not good either.
Take a picture of it. We'll put it on here.
Oh God. I don't know if Lorraine will appreciate.
Okay, looking ahead to this coming week, the first reading is from Genesis, from the very, very beginning, where God sent messengers to Abraham and Sarah, and they said that Sarah would bear a child the next year. Listen to the kindness and hospitality that Abraham and Sarah show to them by giving them food to eat and water to bathe their feet. The responsorial is Psalm 15, which goes, "He who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord." So pretty simple. And the second reading is again from St. Paul's letter to the Colossians. We heard from Colossians last week also. So this time, St. Paul rejoices in his suffering for our sake, or for your sake, he says. Another line says, "It is Christ in you, the hope for glory." So just listen to the context in which he's writing this. And finally, the gospel is from Luke 10, where we'll hear the Martha and Mary story, where Martha is busying herself in the kitchen while her sister Mary, not the Blessed Mother Mary, but her younger sister Mary, sat at the foot of Jesus, listening to him speak. So that's from the gospel this coming week. And it's also the 16th Sunday in Ordinary Time. So I'm like, oh, I got to wear my 16 jersey here for.
Nice. So it's interesting how you said that on the first reading is where God sent his messengers to tell Abraham and Sarah that they would have a child. It's not in this reading, but basically Sarah goes, "You got to be joking." And literally when she said that, it's like, that's going to be the name of your child. And that's what Isaac means you're joking.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So look it up real quick. Fact check me real quick.
Yeah. The name Isaac of Hebrew origin means he will laugh, or laughter.
So let's talk about the context concepts. Basically, I want you to be able to see these contexts, and in helping you read to yourself or read to the congregation. So for the first reading, I want you to think and read it as if the 3 men or the 3 messengers is the Trinity. and that Abraham just intuitively knows that God is with him. So like someone recognizes if a king and his kids, or like the president and his kids are on vacation and they're disguised because they want to be anonymous and they're hanging out in your neighborhood, and then you treat them with like the utmost respect, like you know who he is, but doesn't want to spoil the mystery about him being there, and just serves him all the best stuff, be super honorable to him. Read it as if Abraham just knows, and the people are like, what are you trying to do? And he's just trying to serve them all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And the second reading is from the Colossians again. Because this follows up from the last week's readings of Paul's poem or canticle about Christ. I forgot to mention that this is actually like a poem. So now this week's reading leads right after, which points out that God's chosen ones, or like Abraham in the first reading, has revealed to us God's mystery, that he is with us, actually in us, and he wants to teach everybody how to recognize him with wisdom. In the gospel, you want to think of what is the most important thing. As I always say to my daughter, what's the most important thing? Because she always tends to want to play first before getting ready first. So it's like, you can do both, but make sure you know what the important thing is. That is, for Jesus, is being within his presence, learning his wisdom.
Yeah, I've heard some good homilies about this gospel passage in particular, and I'm interested to hear what perspective the priest will take talking about Martha and Mary, right? You can kind of tackle it from different angles, from Martha's perspective, from Mary's perspective, from Jesus' perspective. All right, let's look back at last week's readings. What do you got?
So for the homily, it's interesting that you mentioned how, the different perspective. People typically think of the parable of being in the shoes of the Good Samaritan, but Father wanted us to put the story completely upside down by thinking of us as the victim who's on the side of the road, and that Jesus is the Good Samaritan. But also I wanted to add in, I listened to Bishop Barron's little homily, and he talked about how all the reading describes the natural law, which is within us all. So in the cardinal proposal, the natural law is within us all by instinctively knowing how to avoid what is bad, but attempting what is good. So we want to turn to God who is in us to guide our learning and doing the natural law, where Christ is the law. So we turn to him and reflect or mimic him. It doesn't matter who you are. You're a person made in the image of God who does good unto his neighbor, because they too are made in the image of God, who deserves all the benefits of that law, as Jesus would do as being the first Good Samaritan.
I like how he likes to flip it. Like, okay, look at it if you're here. Like, oh, it makes you digest the story much differently.
I think with the Lectio Divina, and you read the passages over and over again, and you kind of put yourself in different positions. You could be a whole bunch of different people, different perspectives of the story.
So last week for me, the deacon at our church did the homily. The word that stuck out to me was comfort, and not in terms of comfort of the man who got robbed and the care that the Good Samaritan showed him, but rather the comfort that we need to get out of, when it comes to helping others, such as helping others when it's convenient or when we're able to, not going out of our way to help those in need, or just doing the bare minimum to meet the requirement of helping people. Because remember, it was all about that scholar at the temple who was trying to justify himself and just kind of examining, but say like, okay, what do I need to do, right? So we want to get out of that bare minimum mentality. But here's the kicker. Yes, we must keep God's commandments. Yes, we must help those in need. But there's a difference between doing it out of duty and doing it out of love. Now, duty and obligation is still important, but when we do things out of duty, that doesn't sustain you the way love does, doesn't give you life the way love does, right? The Samaritan went far above and beyond what he had to do. He picked him up. He sent him to an inn. He paid for him. He said, okay, I'll pay you back on the way back. You're kind of thinking like, who does that? Like, no, that's what we all should be doing. Should be going above and beyond that, because that's more than the bare minimum. That's more than your duty. That's love. That's compassion. That's showing mercy.
I didn't know how deep a Samaritan was back in the day, where it was literally an enemy, like a neighboring enemy.
Yeah.
It totally flipped the script that an enemy would help you. It's like going back to the story of the woman at the well, where she was Samaritan, and you'll see how it was awkward. What are you doing here? Why are you helping me?
Why are we even talking? Like, we shouldn't be talking here, All right, let's do the how would you read this segment this week. I am pulling it from the first sentence of the second reading. And this is another one of St. Paul's famous run-on sentences. So for all the lectors out there, just be aware of how it's broken up, where you need to pause and things like that. So you can extract the meaning out of this long run-on sentence and not just like mumble it all together.
Let me give you some margin notes from the lector workbook. So it says this rich but tangled sentence is challenging, as you just said. It is the first line that forms one unit of meaning. The final line illuminates the preceding reference to the Word of God. Keep all this in mind and do your best.
Oh, it literally says all that.
It literally said that, so good luck.
Hilarious. Okay, nice. Okay, let's do this. Again, first sentence of the second reading. Brothers and sisters, now I rejoice in my sufferings for your sake, and in my flesh I am filling up what is lacking in the afflictions of Christ on behalf of his body, which is the church, of which I am a minister, in accordance with God's stewardship given to me to bring to completion for you the word of God, the mystery hidden from ages and from generations past. Ooh. I kind of broke it up on the screen here, line by line, because there's sometimes the sentence gets broken up and you're like, oh, that's part of the other sentence kind of thing.
I don't know how it is in yours, but the reading book that you have is all just a block of text.
Ours is broken. I mean, it's the big lectionary, so it's broken up decently, but again, it's not perfect.
Our old book, it was coming off at the seams, and they like literally just duct taped, and they put like red duct tape on the bind. They changed the book, but now it's too big to fit in the space of the lectern. So the last time I read, they built this like book stand that kind of V'd the book a little bit to fit into the lectern. Everything is changing.
Okay, how was it? I hope you got some positive takeaways from this. Leave your thoughts below in the comments, and don't just like and subscribe, but also click that share button and share this with your family and friends as well. Take care and God bless.
But when we do things out of duty that doesn't sustain us, or that doesn't let me do that again. Duty and obligation is still important.
Another thing that was hella funny is you kept saying duty. I applaud you for keeping a straight face.